Your leads are good, you make money. Your leads are bad, you don't. You don't have to be the best marketer. You don't have to have the best leads. You just have to be consistent with your leads.
What's going on, guys? John here for a special episode with my longtime good friends, Mardy Gould. Thanks for joining me, brother.
Thanks for having me, man.
We're hanging out here in Times Square at the Marriott Marquis. I believe that's the one it is, at Affiliate Summit East. And I want to line up some special heavy hitter interviews. This is the first one of the day. Mardy, go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
All right, guys. Mardy Gould, co-founder of a company called Growth MKG. We focus on lead generation for both ERC, which is the Employee Retention Tax Credit, health insurance, both private and ACA, and most of the mass torts. So, been pretty good. Plus, you know, a couple other things. We have an insurance agency, we have an ERC processing company, so we've gotten to a lot of different verticals now.
Fun fact, he is the reason why I do what I do. So I had been running a brick and mortar for years. I learned lead gen that way, moved into e-commerce. I was helping him with his Facebook bans that he was preventing. He was more preventative.
That was a preventative, yep.
He needed it. Weeks after that, he got hit. And yeah, he pushed me he opened my eyes to doing lead gen. So he is the reason why I do what I do now. So thank you, man.
Thank you. Well, John is the reason I'm still in business. Early on with John is, John was able to teach our team how to keep our profiles, our accounts, our agency accounts up and running. I think we've been up and running for years now, and I think we've had an issue.
2 years almost.
Yeah, 2 years. So
yeah, heck yeah, man.
Kind of pretty much changed our whole business, because being down for a day, 2 days,
it's expensive.
A week, it's expensive.
How'd you get into lead gen?
So, funny story with lead gen. I worked for a small startup out of Chicago, ended up selling, and during that time I wanted to be my own boss, start my own marketing company. Mm-hmm. So just like any traditional marketer, you create a website, you got a brand, and the first year, I think got one client in my first month, and I thought I was gonna kill it. I think it was like $5,000 monthly retainer for roofing, right? So built a website, do the SEO, and basic lead gen, right? So really not understanding any lead gen at all. Like really didn't understand vertical, didn't understand niches, didn't know what an advertiser was or an affiliate, none of those things. So that first year, just studying every day, learning, waking up 3 o'clock every day, watching Gary V's, right? Those YouTubes.
Getting hyped up.
Getting hyped up, not knowing where to go, just pretty much spinning my wheels.
You're just going.
And then a friend of mine who I built, because what I did was in the beginning is I built 3 websites for anybody. So a gentleman I built a website for it was tree service or something like that, referred me to an insurance agency to help with lead gen.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so by him doing that, introduced me to somebody who was looking to get leads, right? So he put me on a small retainer. It was maybe $1,000 a month, generate leads, plus ad spend. And then within that first month of me generating leads for him, I was realizing we're generating $2, $3 private health insurance leads. And I was like, what's this policy work? Oh yeah, we made and everybody, I was sitting in our morning meetings, right? Because I'm part of the team. And everybody in the meetings clapping their hands, I made 8,000, I made 10,000 this week, I made 20,000. I'm like,
I made the same I made last month because I'm on a fucking retainer.
Yeah. So as I'm hearing what everyone's making, and then it just clicked I would make more money selling per lead model. So what ended up happening in that office is, because the leads were so good, everyone talked about how good they were, and I was attached to that. So as soon as I told everybody I'm done with the retainer model, I want to do a per lead model, that first week we had 4K net, our first week, right, going live. Second week, again. Third week went up higher, and then by month 2 we were doubling, so we're averaging 10K net on profit. So we're selling leads for anywhere from $12, $13, cost us $1.50 to $2 to generate basic Facebook forms.
Yeah.
So
good contact rate and everything? No issues?
It was amazing, real time. Yeah, they loved it, right? And this was right at the beginning of COVID, so it was March 2020. So it just exploded for health insurance, right? So then all of a sudden we're doing 200 leads a day, then now we're doing 1,000 leads a day, and before you know it, a large company contacted me and said, hey, we want to buy everything you have. Right? So a large health insurance company said, by them doing that, allowed us to grow, get our name out there, and then we started venturing off to other verticals. I met John on that second year of that. So we're spending $250K a week, and then I think our Facebook profile got disabled. And I was like, oh no. I was on vacation, I remember. So that was
wild, man.
So something so simple by giving something free with no, just the gift of giving back, right? And it just turned into $1 million business. So
it's wild.
I know. Crazy to even think about.
What did you do before you did like the websites and stuff? Like go back?
So I oversee a marketing department for a small business data company. So my job for that company was 20, 30 years old, and they were doing direct mail to 1,200 clients, right? And they're spending $144,000 a year to do that. So what we did is built out a database and did email marketing for them. So we got their cost down by 90%, and then we increased our conversions and did webinars, right? So very basic, never learning anything, is a gentleman just gave me an opportunity to work, made me a director of marketing right away, and then it kind of blossomed. So I was kind of taught like in the real world of marketing.
Well, you learn on a fixed monthly payment model, and then your income just exploded when you moved over to
going from a paycheck model, right? Where
it's crazy. Like it's such a steal for the business owner.
It is. A
fixed marketing, it's at cost leads. It's at cost customers because they're only paying you for a monthly retainer of like $1,000 to $2,000. They're getting leads at the lowest cost possible if you're good at what you do.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And that's why, the pay-per-lead models, if you're a marketer, this is probably one of the best things to start in at least, right? Because it's based on performance. So your leads are good, you make money. Your leads are bad, you don't, right? So you don't have to be the best marketer. You don't have to have the best leads. You just have to be consistent with your leads, with volume.
But okay, so let me ask you this, because you actually taught me this very early. So, like you'll get negative feedback. You said this actually to me. At one point, every buyer complains.
Everybody will complain, yes.
Why? Why is that?
So
I know why, but I want to hear. I want to hear you explain it because you probably explain it better.
So usually with leads is that first 2 weeks, it's almost like that high, right? I'm getting good lead source, great contact rate, right? And then that second week, same leads, same exact leads. They're like, oh, these are the worst leads ever. Nothing really changes. So my theory is that it's just with leads, you have really good weeks, you have really bad weeks.
They have humans. They're humans.
Yeah.
Not the leads, but obviously they're humans too.
Well, there's so many different factors that go in place to sell something, right? So
especially call centers.
Yep, call centers. That person could have a bad day. Their numbers spam. Their SMS system is down. Email is down, right? So there's so many factors in place. So whatever happened during that good week, I always tell them, like, what'd you do that week? Oh, we called the leads right away. What'd you do week 2? Well, we have so many leads, we weren't able to get all of them.
Do you get nervous when you start seeing your margin grow? Like you see like lead cost drops?
Yes,
and you're like, oh, I'm like really good at this stuff, but do you anticipate bad news coming?
Yes. Example, it's happened in some verticals where, lead cost is, let's say we're selling a lead for $150 and it's coming in at $34, where it should be $80. So usually from just experience is I know that there's something wrong with those leads coming in. And we've had a couple instances where it's really just the algorithm with Facebook or Google just sent it down a path that we don't want, right? And you've seen it, right? Where you're getting so many leads, like, oh, and I think a couple times I was like $60, $70 lead cost, and you're at like $9 to $14, and I was like, it bothered me for like, I was like, I should be able to crack this. And again, it wasn't anything with the leads. It's just it went down that route. Man, you were just getting a bunch of
Facebook delivered it to the wrong people.
Yes, and I have a whole method we can talk about later.
Is that always the case though? Like, I would suggest at times Facebook traffic cost naturally as a whole goes like this.
And I have a couple things how I look. I look at daily costs, right? I look at weekly and monthly, right? As long as we stay within that percentage, we're fine. Like, I don't freak out. But when you see your margins dramatically increase or decrease, then it's like something's up, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to identify it, figure out where the audience is getting served, and usually you can identify based on the states. Usually, like lower, depending on the vertical you're selling. So if you're selling health insurance, ERC, or if you're getting a bunch of leads in, say, southern Mississippi, where no one's ever heard of that town, there's something resonating there, right? Something might happen in the news. But if you're still getting leads from that specific region, then we know we have an issue. So what we do is we teach a little bit different method where we eliminate areas that we know are going to be problems. Which is
You get more granular and like you exclude like delivery of certain states and.
yeah, that's a good point though. You know, when lead cost dips, you know, sometimes it's great. Like, oh, we're making all this money, but the longevity of your customers.
Yeah, sometimes it works out and it's just like a cheap time on Facebook and your buyers are happy, but I still, dude, it's funny. My stomach like tightens up when I see big margins. I'm like, this is great, but I might pay for this in a week, and it's not my fault necessarily. You know, it just is what it is.
Exactly.
What do you believe? I know what you run, or roughly like how you run, but what's your honest belief on running Facebook lead forms versus landing pages? Like, how much of a difference does it make, if anything?
Okay, so Facebook lead form, in my opinion, sometimes is 30-40% cheaper, depending on the vertical, right? You can do click to call and still generate pretty good quality. The thing with Facebook that I've realized is on the form side is you can get good quality based on just adding more questions, right? And I've seen people do tricks where like get accurate phone numbers, you know, in the form they'll have the type your phone number in versus the Facebook auto-populate phone number field. So there's different tricks to get good quality, but my opinion is we've sold both. Both work, right?
But both also don't work, depending on the buyer.
Depending on the buyer and depending how your form is built, right? So if you make it easy for people to put, like, auto-populate their information, you're going to get more bad data, right? But if you make it a little bit difficult, what they have to spend that another second or two. Yep. If you can figure out a way to increase the intent, right? So words that I stay away from are free.
It's the greatest word in the book.
It is the greatest word in the book, but from an intent standpoint of selling an expensive lead, free is also the killer too, sometimes. But it works, like health insurance, free health coverage, stuff like that. It does work. But yeah, Facebook forum, I'm a big fan of it. You could definitely make money off it.
Where do you see the industry, the lead gen industry going, especially with tighter compliance? I know there's like some bill sitting there where they want it where if the user opts in for mass tort, you can't pitch them ACA. Like it's getting more complicated. So where do you, in your opinion, is lead gen and or pay per call going? Well,
the good thing about it is there's how many new businesses are started every month. Let's just say every month there's probably 20,000 new businesses started every month, right? And businesses stay in business because of leads. I don't think there'll ever be a shortage of lead gen opportunities. I think what's going to happen is, back in the day when we started, you can't just start day one and think you're going to be a master lead gen, right? Because you don't understand the compliance, right? All that stuff. I think most lead gens are going to have to protect themselves legally, right? I mean, running those very black hat offers, it
even like co-reg and stuff,
yeah.
Right?
Yep. And the thing that's really going to get you on the compliance side, if you're doing health insurance, is the insurance commissioner. So if you're running in certain states and you're not compliant with your ads, you're responsible for that ad that you sell to your buyer. Your buyer would then come after you legally, right? Not that it's ever happened to me. No.
Never.
I think it's going in, I mean, just at this event alone, I mean, we have, I feel like thousands of lead gens here, right? Thousands of publishers, right? I think it's going in, and I think compliance is great for the industry. It's just going to get better lead quality, right? So it'll be really, really interesting to see where the AI takes lead gen. I mean, ad copy now, I could generate ad copy using ChatGPT, and literally I create 100 different versions in 5 minutes now, where before you spend a couple days, figure out what's best, things like that. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited.
Wow. What else? What do you think about what's changing with pay-per-call? Because I know you don't primarily do pay-per-call.
So the pay-per-call, the thing that's changing is just there's a lot of people doing it right now. There's a lot of different offers, right? And there's people who are doing a really great job, right? We all know those. And there's some people who do a really bad job at it, right? I think pay-per-call is a high intent lead, depending on the vertical. I think people like it. I still think it's to be around. I don't think there's any changes on pay-per-call.
I think where things are going,
yeah,
if anything.
But things are going there, but there's a smaller audience taking pay-per-call than there are taking leads.
It's more complex.
Yes.
It's easier to have an outbound team than an inbound, like...
Well, with a lead, you know that lead qualifies based on your verticals or your filters, right? So it gets sold pretty easily. With a call, it has to go down that rabbit hole, the ping, getting down that tree, right? But also have to make sure everybody's on their A game, right? So imagine you sold a really good call, or say you sold 1,000 calls that day, and that call center had an outage, you lost 100 calls. your next buyer didn't pick up that great. Now before you know
So
it,
concurrent
right?
caps or something.
I mean, there's some that people are really good at that, but from quality perspective, if you're good at it, you're going to do great, right? I mean, our biggest time is going to be ACA, where we're going to probably try to shoot for about 5,000 billables a day in ACA. We have a simple formula for it. It's really just basic lead form with a click to call.
Is that 20,000 or 200,000?
So to get 5,000 calls per day, we have to generate 20,000 lead forms. So our method's a little bit different, where we sell the lead forms, the data, we call it call data. That's already sold, so it covers our ad cost, and then we
make your margin on
the calls.
Got it.
And then that large and very large ring bill that I'll get every month.
He just dropped you a freaking gold nugget right there.
Basic, okay, for ACA I love competition, so I will give this away. So if you're going to generate ACA calls, the thing to do is a simple lead form, because ACA is pretty much just free health coverage, right, for anybody within the certain exchange states. You run a basic lead form, phone number, name, email, so you can mark it back to it. And then what you do at the end, and I know some other people have taught this, but just a very aggressive call to action after they submitted their information, which you have 3 minutes to call in.
Right now,
call right now
to
claim.
This device will explode.
Yeah, Inspector Gadget style, right? Yeah. But you also find buyers to take your lead data, because they have value. So if your lead costs you $4 to generate that lead, you're selling the call for 50. It takes you 4 leads to generate 1 call. You sell those leads at 4, so you made $25 to cover your lead cost. Now you made 100% profit on your call sale. And the only expense you're going to have is your ring bill.
Do you sell the leads exclusive or shared, or both?
On those ones, we do exclusive.
Why not? Have you tested discounting heavy?
Well, talking to you today, I know you're doing the shared model. I think we're going to explore that. It's working.
It's got to work. If it works for ERC, it's got to work for ACA.
Those guys
are built to get volume too. That's the thing. Like, ERC is cool. We could do a whole other video on ERC. But ERC is also complicated because you get a lot of guys buying that have no experience buying. Mm-hmm. That's the tricky thing.
It's one of those verticals where it's literally your dad who saw and it's like, I can make 20,000, 30,000 on the deal.
Yeah, he's hustling, and that's cool.
I get the hustle, but at the same time too, if you can't expect that if you're going to make 30,000 commission in ERC, but you spent $200 in leads, and you're mad that you didn't get a sale when the ratios are matched, right? So it's like a 1 to 4, 1 to 5 ratio it should be. So that's something we teach a lot of our buyers. That's one of the things we do. So our model's a little bit different, right? We work directly with everybody. We have over 1,000 individual buyers in different verticals.
I didn't know you could get prepaid until he told me you get prepaid.
Oh, prepaid is the best way. Net sevens, like we do net sevens only really during ACA and some of the bigger people we work, but prepaid.
What about with like brokers and networks? Do you feel more comfortable? I've never been burned from broker or network personally. On a net 7.
Yeah. Depending on who that broker is or network, most of them are vetted, right?
Ones you meet here at this event.
Ones you hear, obviously everyone's spending money to come here.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm not against working with brokers, and some of my best friends are brokers, right? But I find value in working direct with that buyer. So it's not hard to find a buyer, right? Run an ad, get connected. You can go to LeadsCon where you see them all there anyways, right? But you eliminate that margin that you lost. Now, the things that brokers do really well is they already have that Rolodex of all the customers.
They can bring you volume.
They can bring you the volume.
They have an actual network.
Yep.
What words of advice would you give to someone that's interested in getting into the space, and or someone also that has been in the space that wants to grow and do the type of volume you do?
If you're going to get in the space, the first thing I would do is just learn from your peers, find a mentor, and learn how to properly run ads, right? Because, I mean, there's so many YouTube videos, not as good as this one, but there are many YouTube videos out there showing people how to run ads, right? For me, there's a method, we have a matrix of how we run, but also for me, it's gut. So I trust my gut, I know what's getting cut down, right? That's just years of experience, but just learn, be open, and you cannot pretend you're the best already. Like you can't, like, hey, you got a $4 lead cost today, and now you're just on the best lead gen ever. And then John over here has a $2 lead cost, not even talking about it, right? So learn, be humble, and anybody, what was the second part of that?
Someone that's already in the industry that wants to hit numbers that you're doing.
So I was talking briefly with some of your staff, but the thing that I learned early on was you have to spend money to make money. So the whole capital game really changed, like how you take the money you have and make more, right? Some of these, like you said, net sevens, right? You can be net seven and have 150, 200K on the line. But if that 250K is all you have based on maxing out your Amex or whatever, how are you going to run the following week?
You can't play the game.
Yes. So what I learned, for me to get to where I'm at now, is just the ability to allocate capital to the right places, right? Because if you put 1 in and take 5 out, why not put 1,000 in to take
5 out?
Yeah, right? So that was something I had to learn. That took us a couple years to figure out, that not to be scared with money, right?
Scared money don't make money, baby.
It's not. But that's probably the biggest thing that probably changed our whole company, right? So.
Any advice about tattoos? I got my first one, so.
I know, that's an awesome one. I remember, literally, John, I think we were at, was it Leeds? Wait, where were we at? LeedsCon? LeedsCon. I think you got it like 2 days before that. He came there, it was the driest tattoo I've ever seen.
Give me so much crap.
I told him, you better baby oil that thing up. I think tattoos are great in the industry. As you can see, I think a lot of marketers have them, right?
A lot of affiliates.
A lot of affiliates.
It's usually the lead generators, not the buyers as much. It's a different breed.
Yeah. Be on the lookout. We're starting a brand. It's called the Tattoo Marketer. We're going to be interviewing marketers across the country.
We'll link back to that with this video.
Yeah. What we're going to be doing, just interviewing people across the country who have tattoos, who are marketing and have a story.
Do I fit the criteria?
You fit the criteria.
I'll be living in Colombia though, so I don't know if
I will have to become.
Is that for the international expansion? Cool, man. Any other last piece of advice or fun facts you'd like to share?
I think last piece of advice, guys, is you need to be coming to events like this. You need to be meeting people. There's a lot of things that happen at the event. There's things that happen outside the event. And there's things that are going to happen after this event based on people meeting you, right? So if you have a good base, right? So you have a company, you have a website, you have results. You can literally come here and leave with $1 million book of potential revenue.
No joke.
The remainder of the year.
If you act on it and follow through. The follow through is the hardest part.
I mean, John's been to events and he's like, hey, where are you at? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I didn't know. So I think know when the events are, right?
Make friends.
Make friends in the industry.
Don't be a schmuck. Don't rip people off.
Yep. And you never know. Like, I think the thing is help our fellow marketers out. I mean, I've been in picture banks where I needed something that day.
A solution or something.
Ad account, right? I mean, hey, John, like I lost 20 ad accounts today. Who do you got any, right? Or vice versa, right? So I think really just the friends you do have in the industry, make sure you're close with them. I think that's really the big thing.
Couldn't have been said better, man.
Huh?
Thank you again for joining us, and we'll have you on for when we launch your YouTube series.
All right, guys, make sure to like and follow below.
Nice, man. Hell yeah.